Alright, so I'm going to try and keep this video pretty short and to the point of showing you guys how I cut my tunnel for free. I should have filmed the process of me doing this, but I didn't really think anything of it at the time. There's only 2 other videos that I know of on YouTube of guys doing this to the Articats, but they both are running Rogue Concept rear bumpers, which are about $400-ish, I believe. And I'm only gonna have this sled for one more season, so I didn't want to spend the 400 bucks, even though I think they look sweet. So I'm basically gonna walk through step by step on what I did to shorten my tunnel on my 17 M8. So first off, you're gonna want to figure out how short you want to go with yours. I did a 6-inch cut, which essentially puts it down to 137 to 141 length. And when you do cut it, I suggest keeping this panel just because it has all your serial numbers and everything on it. But so you want to figure out your cut. I said 6-inch cut, draw it with a Sharpie, as you can see I did there. And you're going to want to pop your bracket that's on top, drill out your rivets, unplug your light, take all that out. Underneath, you're going to want to drill these 2 rivets out for here. You're going to want to cut this aluminum piece down and drop your wires down. Obviously it's pretty easy on the cats because we don't have a cooler back here, but just drop that down so when you run your angle grinder across, you don't cut through your taillight wiring, unless of course you're not going to run a taillight. And I do suggest using a angle grinder with a cutoff wheel versus a Sawzall. I think it gets a little bit straighter cut. For that, actually, you don't want to remove your rear bumper. So all of your rivets, drill all of those out. You're gonna have to undo these bolts, drop your skid, get something to prop your tunnel up, because up in there it's kind of hard to see. Obviously hard to get those rivets out with the track in there. And then you don't need to do anything with this unless you're doing a Rogue Concept bumper, but do those rivets. There's a nut in there, and then before this bumper is cut down, there's a flat piece and there's like 4 gold weird type rivets. You will have to use a cutoff wheel to cut those off. They cannot be drilled out. So now you got your taillight off, your bumper off, all your rivets drilled out, just your straight tunnel. Make your cut. If you're running the Rogue Concept rear bumper, you can leave this back panel out so your tunnel just ends straight. I think that looks cleanest with those. We're still running the stock rear bumper, it looked kind of goofy. So then when you get to here, to get your angle right, I put a dot right there, and then from the bottom of my straight line I went 1 inch out, make that angle cut, and then drill from underneath, get all your holes drilled, run all these rivets, and then your side rivet, so that way you have that back panel in. And then you can either choose to not run a taillight, or you can put your you can choose to put your stock taillight bracket back up on top. I don't really like the look of that, and I still want to run a taillight. So now, if you choose to run your taillight this way, the back, you have your plug here. So what I did, so you can get it flush and looking nice, kind of hold it up to it like this, and take a Sharpie, trace around, cut it out with a Dremel. I actually need to cut just a little bit more so this plug can go in all the way, because it's not going all the way in right now. And then once that's in, you have to, I actually put the 2 little bolts in the holes, again held it up, traced around in a circle once I made sure it's even, so that way this hole and this hole for the screws to go in are even, and then when the light's in, it sits nice and flush. And then I still haven't figured out a way to how I'm gonna get that back up there. Might have to drill 2 little holes on the side and put little rivets in like they were when it was stock and a little bit longer. So that's for the tail light. Now your bumper, because you'll be running the stock bumper, I wanted to maintain all the stock rivet spots. And that was a little bit tough because you can't just cut 6 inches off the tunnel and 6 inches off your bumper and expect it to line up. I ended up cutting the bumper about 3 different times before I got it to line up. You can see you're going to end up cutting that flat part off. Start with, if you do a 6-inch cut, start with like 5 inches to start. Obviously you can see I wanted to use the stock nuts and bolts that go through the ends too. When the sled is stock tunnel length too, this bumper, instead of being this close, it's actually about that far. So I slid it in a little more. So you just have to make a couple cuts at a time and then slide it in to where it lines up with all your stock rivet holes. And then make sure you're making even cuts on both sides too. That way this is nice and even across and your bumper's not crooked one way or the other. And then yeah, all the stock rivet points, stock bolts. So this piece back in, it's essentially just a stock tunnel, stock bumper, just 6 inches shorter. And then we'll see how it does on cooling. As far as snow kicking back up in, I might have to make another video on how it does going down the trail out west. But yeah, the total cost of me doing all this was, I think I spent like $10 on rivets, and that's about it. Maybe a little electrical tape to tape this up when I'm all done with it, but yeah, there you have it. Cutting the tunnel on your 2012 to 2017 Arctic Cat M8 for total cost around 10 bucks in rivets. So quick video, but hope this helps anybody that had any questions on cutting their tunnel. And if you guys have any further questions, you can let me know in the comments. I'll try to respond to those in case I missed something in this video on how to do it. But yeah, that should be it for this video.